Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with Ingrid. I'm going to just go Hionkala because it's
Good.
Ingrid Garcia Hanson Hionkala, PhD. So, Ingrid, I'm so excited to meet you. I'm sorry I didn't meet you last year at the IONS conference in Philadelphia. I know you were a speaker there. But I'm so excited to talk to you today and share your beautiful experiences and your worldview with everyone here on Conscious Business Zone.
Oh, Kathy, I'm so honored to be here. Thanks so much for having me. And yes, we didn't meet that at the conference, but okay, at least now
Yeah,
we're here
yeah,
connected. Life brought us together no matter
together.
what.
That's right. That's right. So, everyone, I wanted Ingrid, at least, hopefully, that you will get so inspired after you hear this beautiful woman's story and how she works with the divine at an amazing way. So, Ingrid, okay, we're going to start. Why don't you share with everyone your NDE story, your near-death experience story, while I invite people to the feed, okay?
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, Kathy, this was just amazing because I was very little, close to 3 years old when my near-death experience happened. I at the time I am from Colombia. I grew up there with my parents and my sisters, and at the time both my parents worked, and they would leave us in the house at the care of a maid. And she was a young lady that when my parents would go work, she didn't really care about us, pay attention about us. So early one morning they left and she went back to her room because it was normal at the time for the culture for a maid to leave to be in the house with the family. And then she went back to her room, and my oldest sister, who was close to 4 years old, she was three, I was two, and the baby that was one. And my oldest sister and I decided, let's go play. Well, nobody's paying attention. And in the house there was a patio, and in this patio there was a big tank for just to hold water for hand washing clothes. At the time we didn't have a washing machine,
Uh-huh.
so next to this huge tank, this tank was hold about 900 gallons of water, so this was a big tank. But next to the tank there was a flat surface for scrubbing. And my just right there in the patio, my sister and I found a ball, and we're like, oh, let's play cash across the tank. Of course, when you're that age, what is the danger? Let's just go have fun. And we just grabbed a stool because this was a big tank, and we climbed the tank, and she sat on the flat surface next to the tank, so she was safer there because it was a big
Uh-huh.
surface. But me, of course, to play across the tank, I had to go the other side. It was a thin edge,
Wow.
and I just climbed there, bended my legs, and I was leaning in this tank very precariously. But again, I'm just having fun.
Uh-huh.
So my sister grabbed the ball. She threw the ball at me, and she was little. She didn't apply enough force, and the ball fell on the water.
Oh.
Oh, then I thought, of course, I thought, oh, I can grab it. And I leaned forward, not knowing any physics. When I leaned forward to grab it, the ball rolled on the surface of the water. And of course, I just lost my balance and fell into this tank.
Oh my gosh.
And the thing was, Kathy, at the time, I've never been in a pool. We didn't have a bathtub. So I did not have
Oh,
any
wow.
idea that if you have your head under the water, you cannot breathe. That was not a concept in my mind. The other thing is that I always make clear that people have the misconception that because I was born in Colombia, I come from hot weather country.
Yeah.
But I come from Bogota, that's very high up in the Andes. So the temperature in this tank was pretty cold. So it was the temperature could have been around 30, 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the other thing, Kathy. When I fell in this tank, the first thing was like this feeling of like, wow, this water is cold. And I felt like if my chest had imploded. Like,
Yeah.
and at that moment, it was that sense, boop, I cannot breathe. Why I cannot breathe? And I went in this state of absolute panic.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I started to sink in the tank, and it was like I didn't know what to do, and I started just to be in this state of terror. And that was the amazing part, like being in a state of so much horror and wanting to breathe and wanting to be out of this situation, to in just like that, Kathy. To be in a state of absolute peace.
Beautiful.
Oh gosh, it was like, wow, no need to breathe, no need to fight, no need to do anything. And it was the state of like absolute well-being.
Beautiful.
And then people ask me many times how you don't forget this experience if you were so little. And I say because of the contrast was so extreme. Things that happened were so shocking. And from all these contrasts, like Kathy, there was, I can tell you, like right before I drowned, I was so scared that of course my heart, I could, and under the water, I could hear it in my head. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing contrast. I mean, under the water in this state of terror, hearing my heart. And when I went into that state of absolute peace, I experienced silence. And I is what I call the silence behind the silence.
Yes.
The state of absolute peace. And for the rest of my life, I craved that silence. It's like, oh, I would go with whatever it was. I wanted that silence.
Yes. Yes.
And then the other incredible contrast was that this was a very dark tank because it was made entirely of cement and it had a roof on top. So it was a very dark space. So the last thing I saw with my eyes open, like wanting to get out of this horrifying situation, space, darkness, the darkness of the tank. And oh God, Kathy, when I went into this of peace, a light came from below. And it was like the light of a candle. And it was soft, but enough to illuminate the surrounding. And it came from below, and I'm like, oh, now there's light. And then I started to see bubbles in the water, and the bubbles were surrounded by light. And I'm like chasing these bubbles, and it's just like, wow, this is so cool. I'm being childlike and like, and I turn around, and then it's when I saw a body suspended in the water.
Oh.
And then, wow, that was the incredible, Kathy, it was the realization at that moment, oh, that is my body. And it had
you were out of your body in another realm looking back down. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you're like 4 years old, 3 years old?
I was close to 3 years old, so I was. Wow. Yes. Then I'm seeing the body, and imagine being for the human experience as Ingrid, being so young, but is the realization, wow, this is familiar to me. I've done this so many times. I'm just changing. This is just my new
outfits.
Yeah. So it was like, at that moment, it was that knowing that, oh, this has happened so many times. This is normal. This is just normal. And then I saw the body, and it came the other incredible realization and contrast in my life, Kathy. I was born as a very sick child. And sometimes we ask, oh, why a child can be this sick, but that had a purpose.
Okay.
And at that moment, and many times in my life, it was explained why. But like At that moment, it was to show me with clarity the difference between being unwell and this state of well-being.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't even know how it was to be well because I was born very sick. So almost for 3 years, that's the condition I knew. And now I am in this state of absolute well-being. Wow. So what happened? I saw that body and it was like, I'm not going back there.
Next.
Exactly. Just like, and that was the decision I made at that moment with the mind that I had right there at that moment, that I just turned around and left the body behind. But I just explained to people that's why I said the decision I made at that moment, because of course the universe had a different plan.
Right, right.
And I will talk about this because incredibly later in my life, when the being so light, I will talk about how I started to do this communication and everything. But it was explained to me, yeah, that moment you made the decision to leave, but guess why you went to look for help? Because you were going to come back. So this is when it comes the next part of the story. So when I turned around, I started to see flowers that were blooming from nowhere. And these flowers picked me up. Oh God, it was the sense of, like I just say to people, it's like going back to the womb.
Yes.
Where you don't have to do absolutely anything. You're just being done. And I'm being carried. I'm just like, whoa. And then I'm in this state of bliss. And just like that, boom, I appear in the maid's room.
Oh, okay.
And I'm looking at her from above. And she's lying on her bed. And I'm like, wow. And this is so clear in my mind, Kathy, that I even know the soap opera she was listening in the radio.
Wow.
And she was completely unaware what was happening. She was there. And I'm like, oh, and I even said, oh, that's Maria. But since she was like, in just like that, another just blink, I appear in my mom's path. And I looked at her from above and I just said, oh, that's mom. And just like that, she stopped. She was about, oh, she didn't have a car at the time. She had to walk. She had to cross all this neighborhood to get to her bus stop. It was about 10 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And she was close to her bus stop and she stopped. And you tell me, Kathy, you're very intuitive. My mom was an incredible intuitive person and she always followed that guidance.
Yeah.
And she stopped right there and she knew that something was happening at home with one of her babies.
Wow.
She didn't hesitate. She didn't move forward. She turned around and started to run back home.
Wow.
And I'm looking at her from above. I'm like, oh, but then I got distracted at that moment by the realization that wherever I put my mind, I could go. So if I just remember seeing a dog in a park at the end of the street, and I'm like, oh, and in just a blink, I was there.
Yeah.
And then I started to play a game of going places. So time and space had vanished. I'm having fun. It's awesome. And again, in just a flash, this is everything just would happen like that. That is when I appeared in a realm that was made of pure, bright, intense, shiny light.
Uh-huh.
And this is the first time in the almost 3 years of my life that I felt, oh, I am home. I am home.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was not even like 3 years had passed. And it was that sense that I'm being welcomed. And it was at that moment, Kathy, that I had the realization that I was not that persona. First, I realized I'm not the body. Now I realize I'm not this persona. And I started to dissolve with the totality.
Wow.
And I realized myself as a being of light. And then this went even farther because I experienced what I call the sense of non-self or the sense of nothingness. It was like, now I am in this space where, there's no need of description, names, conditions, colors, movement, form. It was just, I would just say, the state of pure consciousness, absolute presence.
Beautiful.
And then my mom finally arrived home. While I am out there experiencing my bliss. My mom arrived home, and this is the other thing, Kathy. She knew exactly where to go. She followed that guidance, and she went to the back of the house. And my sister, she was still there, leaning in the tank, trying to help me. And she saw my mom, and she told my mom, "Mom, Ingrid is there, and I cannot get her." So later in life, I learned that her purpose was actually to show my mom she's there for sure.
Wow.
And my sister is incredible. She remembered this experience as I do. She said, "Ingrid, I will never forget that she saw my eyes open while I was inside the tank."
Wow.
So this was incredible. And my sister got me out of the water. She was a teacher. She worked with children, and she was trained CPR.
Oh, your mother did. Your mother did. Right.
So she got me out. She started to do all she knew to. She said I was like a raggedy doll, Kathy. Like there was no breathing, no pulse, nothing. It just pale. And she was doing everything she knew. And in the meantime, I'm absolutely disconnected from this reality. Like I'm just there.
It's like, that's okay. I'll get a new one. It's like a new car.
And I guess at the time, because some people will feel sad about that, but I just didn't have that attachment. I was very little. And also, I grew up in a family with a lot of dysfunction at the time. So I didn't have that attachment, a body that was sick. So to me, it was like, I can move on now. And then again, in just a blink, I felt that I had jumped from the tallest building in the world. And it was like pretty much like, no. And I couldn't do anything to stop this.
Oh, so you don't feel like you were asked
And
if you should go back. You were just put back.
Oh, Kathy, I cannot hear you.
Oh, did you feel like
It
you
got muted.
were asked to go back, or it was just a decision was made?
Oh, no, no sound. I don't know if just me.
Oh, I don't know. Can other people hear me? Hello? Can you hear me now, Ingrid?
No.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
How weird. Okay, can anyone tell me if they can hear me?
I don't know if it's just me. Maybe we should ask the people. Can you guys hear us?
I just typed it in. So let's see.
I don't know if it's me that.
Yes, we can hear, but you both. Can you hear me now?
Oh. Okay. Oh my God, it's me that I cannot hear you, Kathy. I don't know why. Oh no, this is not good.
Oh, they can hear us both. Okay, so what do we do?
Lose the possibility to hear. Oh no. I wonder.
Do you want us to start and stop again?
Why?
Oh
my gosh.
What a shame.
And I don't know how to test.
Okay.
Oh.
So here, I'll call you on the phone a second.
Oh, yeah, we can do that, and I can hear you through the phone.
We'll figure it out.
We can always fix it.
Oh, what a shame. Let's see your number.
Don't worry, guys. We're going to try to work it out. Let's see if I can.
There you go.
Kathy?
Hi.
At least I can hear you through here, and if everybody can hear us, then we just do
Well,
it this
but
way.
now it's double. What I think we should do is start again. What I'll restart Be Live because
Yes.
this isn't going to work.
Yes. So let's do that. Let's restart it.
Okay. Well, we can pick up where we were.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let's do that.
So, okay. Sorry, guys. I'm going to restart, I guess, so that Ingrid, you could go out. Okay, let's see if I can get, here we go.
Hello?
Hi, Ingrid. Why don't you go out and come back in? Because they can hear both of us, so I think it's on your
It's
system.
in my side. How do I go out though?
Let's see. I'll take you out. I'm gonna remove you. Okay, don't be upset. Okay, so then come back in, okay? And pray that the sound works. We've got like 6 or 7 people on right now that it's all said they could hear us both, but you couldn't hear me, so that's a problem for me to ask you questions. Okay, I don't see you yet. Huh. So you didn't come back in? I don't see you here. Are you by yourself in somewhere in Be Live? Not in my room. Oh. Well, I guess we could start all over. Oh, people are just putting hearts and prayer signs. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people on. Darn. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll ask. Okay. Thanks. Bye. Okay, guys, I guess I'm gonna have to start this again because she can't get back in. So please, I hope we're gonna try it again. So please join us. Never had this one happen. That's weird. She could hear me earlier. So I don't know what happened, but stay tuned. Thank you for joining me. Us. Oh wait, here, wait. Hold on a second. Maybe this worked. Oh, let's see. How confusing. Okay,
Yeah,
so
we're here.
can you hear me?
I hear you perfect.
Oh, okay. Well, edit out that part. Thank you all for waiting. Oh no, Robin said we'll come back. Well, guess what? We're still here.
No, sorry guys. This is technology. We're doing our best.
Yes. Okay. So to recap where we are is your near-death experience had you drown. And you guys, you have to hear the rest of the story, but she ends up being an oceanographer after she's drowned in water. That's different. So
Yes.
anyway, so why don't we go back to the beings of light, if you wouldn't mind, because I think everyone that's on here, hopefully they're still here, will really enjoy knowing about you had that experience, you came back in your body, but you kept your connection, and you're young enough that you don't know that everyone doesn't have that, right?
Yes, and that was the hard part, Kathy, because I came with this awareness I didn't have before, but of course I didn't know that but I thought everybody did.
I get
So,
it.
and I'm back, and now I look at my parents and I'm like, these are not just my parents. I felt them as my equal because I experienced that sense of wholeness. And guess what happened when I saw my body, Kathy? I'm like, I'm not this child. Now I knew that I was an eternal being. I'm like, wow, I'm not just this child. So I could really never feel like a child again. And I would look at other children and I couldn't relate because to me their mind was is I don't mean to say it in a bad way or anything, but to me they didn't know anything.
Right. Or they were primitive. They had a primitive awareness compared
Yes,
to what you had. I get it. I remember when I had a spiritually transformative experience, I came back in, I went, yeah, this will work for this time. I mean, so I know what that feels like, but I really didn't relate to, I really was still so, you were young enough that you just took it as fact, whereas I was older and I had to process it. Like, what
yeah.
does it mean, right?
Yes, yes. For me, it was like I'm just looking around and I'm like, what is with these people? So they were the ones that were like not okay because how you don't know all these things. And then I not long after, Kathy, it was incredible because I was, like I said, just about to be 3, and not long after the experience, I could read, write, resolve mathematical problems, put together complex puzzles. It was something, and to me, it was like I wasn't learning anything. I was just remembering.
Oh, perfect though. Perfect.
Yes, but look, incredibly, this was not taken well through time because even at a school and all that, when I started kindergarten later, it was like teachers were like, if there was no programs for kids like that at the time, and they're like, if you know too much, just be in that corner and let us be.
So
So
just because you were interfering with the learning of the others that didn't know anything. Oh, so there
yeah,
wasn't an accelerated track
no,
for you.
the time
Oh,
was not. So it was difficult, yeah, because I started to find that wow, people were not the way I was. So I started to become aware of it as the time was passing, and I started to really feel the sense of isolation. Like what is with everyone? And I started to look at myself in the mirror and cry and said to my mom, "You don't understand. This is not me, and I don't want to be here."
wow.
So my mom was like, "Oh, what do we do with this child?" And then, but at the time, things were hard in Colombia because there was a war. My parents were trying to do what they could to survive the day to day. So it was like pretty much this will pass.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, but it's amazing because it's when I, like I said, the help that I needed came in the most amazing way.
Okay.
And this was also that part that I said I cannot forget any of these because the door never closed for me. So after the near that I started to have what is called now as out of body experiences. At the time there was not even knowledge about that term or anything. And I was like, wow, experiencing these states of like acceleration of time, like speed and sounds and colors, and I'm like, whoa, and I'm going to that realm of the light, Kathy,
Yeah.
going there. And now I just wanted to sleep because I wanted to be there in that realm. And I was still little that my parents hired a new lady. And for her, it was best if I was sleeping so she didn't have to pay attention to that child. So I would just go sleep, and that was perfect. And then
Mhm.
I would be in this realm of the light. And in one of these journeys, one day I was surrounded completely by starlight figures.
Beautiful.
And they're shining in all different colors. And I'm just like, wow. And it was later in another journey when one of these figures, one of these stars like figures that was shining in gold, shaped itself into a human form.
Wow.
And it approached me and it touched me. And it's when I said, oh, You are a being of light. And it was the sense, it was trying to show me I am like you.
Was
And then,
it a male or female? Like, was it Mother Mary or something? No, it
no,
wasn't a religious.
no, that,
Okay.
yes, look, this is incredible what you're asking me, Kathy, because when I asked the beings of light later in my life, why my near-death experience happened when I was so young.
Right.
Although I was raised as Catholic, I was so little to have any concept yet of any of that. They said because you were old enough to remember, but young enough not to be conditioned yet.
Perfect.
So I didn't have the conditioning that I had to see anything in any way. So it just presented to me in the most pure way, with no name, with no characteristic, with no form. It was just pure.
Lovely.
And look, later in life, Kathy, when at the age of 6, I started to see spirits. But before that, when I was around 5 years old and I joined kindergarten, I was in a school. And because the beings of light said to me that when they started to talk to me, they said to me it was better not to talk about it because people couldn't understand.
Right.
Being in a school, because they said don't talk, I was drawing. I was
Oh,
drawing all kind of stuff. And then a teacher came and she said to me, what are these? The sun, the stars? And I said, no, they are my friends, the beings of light.
oh, beautiful.
Then, oh, now she called my mom because for the teachers, I already was a strange girl. Lady. I was weird. So they called her and they said that I was having imaginary friends, that they needed to work in my social skills, blah, blah. And my mom, since she was a teacher, she just pretty much tried to ignore what the teacher was saying. This is when my mom also discovered that, yeah, for sure I'm seeing something, but I also could see auras.
Oh, beautiful.
Energy, because all my paintings, Kathy, had auras.
Oh, beautiful.
So my mom is when she revealed to me that she could see spirits since she was little. And so this was, oh gosh, somebody now believe me, somebody is now like kind of the same page. But just to go back a little, like I said, I started just to see the beings of light when I was around 4 years old, and around that age is when they started to talk to me. No, I started to see them later, but around 4, one day I'm taking this shower, all relaxed, and then same thing happening in my journey up there, but now a blue, shiny, huge being of light appeared in the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, now the beings of light are here. And Kathy,
Cool.
although they didn't do or say anything at the beginning, their presence was so intense, so loving, so caring, and we're always there in that energy. We just have to learn to connect to it. Like I mentioned, I was in the shower taking a very relaxing shower.
Water, water, water.
Yes, in that state of feeling so well, there's no thought, there's no condition, there's no nothing in the way, is when we can connect. So after that, just their presence was so amazing that I started to heal, to talk to my parents, to eat again, to feel that I could kind of be here. But I was still throwing tantrums because I didn't have an attachment to my name, to my persona. And it was in one of those tantrums. One day I'm like, they're calling me to eat dinner. And I'm like, don't call me like that. And then they came like, we're calling you, Ingrid, to eat dinner. And I said, don't call me like that. That is not my name.
Oh.
And then they said to me, so how should we call you? What is your name? And I said, I do not need one.
Oh my gosh. How old are you at this point?
At that point, I was 4 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you were self-actualized and you didn't need the ego facade. Wow.
Yes, and it's when, but I was so confused because I'm like, what I am they don't understand. And it's when the beings of light started to talk to me. And they said it's going to take time for them to understand that names are not needed in the realm of the light.
Oh, beautiful.
But here is, then later I knew here was important. Here we're carrying a basket, a personality that serves a purpose. All this is beautiful, but in the realm of the light, that is just not.
Right, right. And at 4 years old, you don't know. I mean, you're just, even at kindergarten, that's when you're first starting to see this is Susie. Well, whatever the common names are in Colombia.
Yes, yes. So it was like, then later, like I mentioned before, I was around 6 years old when I saw what is called a spirit, and I told my mom, it scared me like you cannot imagine, Kathy, because I didn't know what this was. This was not a being of light. This was different. So, and what I saw, I didn't see a face. I just saw like a shadow, like a
Yep,
very
yep.
well-defined shadow. I knew it was a man, and this spirit wasn't in a good mood. So I experienced terror.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's when I told my mom, the spirits, because she said, explained to me that she could see spirits. And it's when I said, Mom, the spirits and the beings of light are not the same.
Right.
And then my mom was amazed, and she's like, she thought I could see the same thing. And she's like, oh, I think that you see angels.
Yep.
And I said, Mom, but they don't have wings like in the pictures. So she said, but they have to be angels, because what else? That's the way she was just raised as Catholic, so she didn't know anything else. So I I already been talking to the beings of life for a couple of years. So it's when I asked them, I said, the first thing was amazing because I thought we were different from the spirits, and I was expecting to hear that. And I said, what is with these dark spirits? I call them dark because they cause me fear.
Yeah.
And this one, oh, with the most loving, compassionate, they're like, oh no, this thing you call spirits, you, us, we are all the same.
Exactly.
The only difference is the level of awareness you have about who you are. Each one of us have about who we are. And then that was just what. And the other thing, amazing thing was, and of course, that started to take that fear away. And the other thing was, I said, my mom said that you are spirits. Is that, sorry, that you are angels. Is that
Angels.
what you
Right.
are?
Right.
And this is beautiful, Kathy. This is just so beautiful because it's how giving the universe is. Because you were asking me about marriages, they said to me, "We are what you want us to be."
Oh,
See, so
however it best serves. Right.
yes, and however you feel the best, and if at that age you have the knowing that Jesus is going to give you the best love and comfort and a state of, oh, then that's how it will appear to you, or so they will come to you and appear to you in the way that you feel um, more connected, more, oh gosh, joyful and blissful. So this is so amazing, so beautiful.
So let's go fast forward a little bit to you're I went to your website, which I've been showing here, and you have an amazing bio, a professional bio. So, do you feel that your connection to the beings of light have allowed you to have more energy and less fear about doing things than the average person? Do you feel that because it's amazing. So well, we could talk about your profession, but I just want people to know that they have beings of light to connect to, and that they can tap into that energy, right?
Yeah, always, Kathy. So this is the thing. There's a couple of things there with my career and all this that is incredible, because another thing that gave me this whole experience and is it was the possibility to connect with what we call maybe the things that have not been manifested yet, what we see as impossible. So
Oh,
I
okay.
started to have visions since I was 4 years old. And later, when I was about 17, I started to see it just happened. My past lives, because during my near-death experience, I knew I was eternal, but I didn't have that access. Later in life, I started to really see my past lives, like
Wow.
and connect with that. But when I was 4, I started to see the future. Then I was like at 4, I knew when my parents brought me to see the ocean that I was going to be a marine scientist. I told my dad when I was 5, I'm going to be a marine scientist. And then, like you mentioned, how can I be as an oceanographer if I drown?
After you drowned.
And I love that because I said to people, because drowning brought me to see the light.
Oh, beautiful.
Drowning brought me to have the connection with the beings of light, brought me to have the awareness that I have. So for me, it was a gift. So my life grew parallel to that. I became an oceanographer, I became a scuba diver, and I wanted to go deep into everything, deep down in the ocean of life. And then I started to do it with everything. I would just, with science, would just always go deep, how I can go deeper and deeper. And the connection with the light has been incredible because one, you asked me about fear of death. The fear of death was gone with my
Right.
near experience. That's clear. And after that, the fear of making decisions, because it's different, was gone too, because I always would just close my eyes and ask from within. When I had this, there was a time in my life when that connection was, I I made my decision to almost cut the connection.
Oh, really? You because you wanted to be normal? Oh,
Yes.
what's that?
Yes. Yes. So I just, it's the example of like the beings of light became my parents. But guess what? During all those years, I have been in a room with the light on. So the room is full of furniture. You don't trip because you know where the furniture is. But when I make that decision in college, I want to be like my sisters. I want to be like my peers. I want to have a boyfriend. I want to be normal. Then I pretty much ask the beings of light, can I just please leave home? Like,
Yeah.
if,
Can you guys leave me alone for a while
yes, yes, pretty much
so I
like,
can have a human experience,
yes,
right?
exactly. And of course, that connection was never, that was not severed.
Right.
Like
Right.
the one we have with our parents, you leave to go college, but that doesn't mean you leave your
Right.
parents forever. They're right there. So same thing with the beings of light. There was a time in my life where I just like, can you just back away a little?
I understand. I understand. I think a lot of people, almost everyone that I've met that has had a near death experience has superpowers. And they all had a different way of dealing with it. And sometimes you have to fit in. You just have and certainly if people this near death studies I think has really been refined now because of when as soon as doctors and other research was done where it's a category now. But think 20 years ago, 30 years ago, people didn't have expressions for it. They didn't, and even spiritually transformative experiences, people didn't have an explanation that was acceptable. So you just kept quiet, just like you just kept quiet.
Kept quiet, and even like the time where I was like pretty much saying to the beings of light, let me live my life, doesn't mean that all this went away. Like I had an experience after that is when I had my proof that I did not fear death, Kathy, because I was almost killed and murdered. That is all in my book.
I
Uh,
want your books at Ingrid Hionkala.com. It's INGRIDHONKALA.com. And I'll put it also in the comments. But I want to make sure
yes,
people know.
yes. I write a book called A Brightly Guided Life when I tell all the stories, but it's like there was a moment I was almost killed and murdered, and in that situation so extreme, there was a moment, Kathy, in which I was in an ocean setting, beautiful place. So look at the contrast. These guys, three guys about to rape me, kill me. And I just turn my head and look at the horizon. Beautiful horizon. And it's the moment when I said, the first thought that crossed my mind was, today I'm ready to die.
Oh, wow. Just got chills. Oh my gosh.
Can be taken. It was the complete surrender. Like, what? So I didn't know I was that ready. I didn't know that how gone that fear was until I am there in the
Right.
middle of this moment. And Kathy, when I had that state of surrender and absolute calm, I didn't fear anything. I didn't feel anything. The guy at this point was on top of me about to rape me. And I grabbed his face. And in this state of clarity, I knew what to do, what to say. I grabbed his face and I put it in his eyes, in my eyes. And I said, dear, you don't want to do this to me. And in that moment, Kathy, there was a connection in which I saw and he saw the oneness. There was no conditioning. It was a split of a second in which there was, this guy was not that. And then we looked at each other and he pushed and he stood up and he moved away and he said, we have to go. We have to go. So look at the power of a clear mind, the power of knowing that when you
Beautiful.
clear your mind, you surrender, you connect. At that moment, I connected, no matter the stress, the terror, I connected back with the light. I connected with all the stream of light and said, I was saved by the light.
Well, that's presence. That's pure presence and awareness. And probably you were able to somehow reach him out of his primal, because that's primal state, right?
Yes.
Wow. So when have you found, like, when you're in your regular work where you had deadlines and you had projects, I mean, you have all these degrees, you had tests, did you call on the beings of light to help you get a good grade? Or I mean, well, why not? I mean,
No, but you know what I do, Kathy, is once we learn that we don't even have to call them, we are that.
right.
We have all of that within ourselves. One day I asked the beings of light, this bring me to this amazing, I asked the beings of light, how can I do to understand and unravel the mysteries of the universe?
Wow, that's a small thing.
Yes. And a being of light that I've never seen before. It was this wow, amazing, it almost shine all colors and it has like eyes everywhere. And he said to me, you are already the universe. So to know and unravel the mysteries of the universe, know thyself.
Beautiful. Perfect.
So we have to become observers of ourselves. But how also we do that, Kathy? By calming the mind. Go to that place where you calm your mind. When I calm my mind, I am in connection with my inner wisdom. And that way, I created the most incredible projects, ideas. Things will come, and I will never stay at the level of the problem. I would always go find, how can I resolve this?
Perfect.
Can I be the best conduit for this to be resolved? And I always have known other thing, Kathy, that I'm not doing anything. I'm a vehicle.
Right, right. I totally get that. So how do you allow, okay, so at 4 years old, I assume you can allow everything. But as a human grown up, don't don't you have to work it? I mean, this may be a stupid question, but do you have to work at allowing yourself to be all that is?
I think because I had the time of like and the experience of like being it when I was little and realizing people don't get it. You know what this whole process did, Kathy?
Huh.
To open the door to compassion
Oh,
and to gentleness. And to the beings of light said to me, your path, Ingrid, your path is the path of gentleness.
Oh, beautiful.
You're not here to tell anybody what to do. You just carry this light.
Beautiful.
And there was a moment when I was still working at NASA, working with the Navy, and I would just ask them, what can I do or say to them to see this light? Because later in my life, I had what I call a big awakening. Then that answers your question. When I was little, I was unaware, but unaware child.
Right.
So it just was happening. It was the nature of me was manifesting. But I didn't have the awareness, or I didn't have yet the maturity to understand it in its totality.
Right.
When
Right.
I kind of cut that communication and I went through a life of sufferings, because now I'm in a room with the light off and I'm like tripping with all the furniture.
Yeah.
It opened the door for me to compassion, because when I was little, I would be like, how can they not get it? Are they stupid? So we became
Oh, yeah.
arrogant.
Boy, so I can really relate, because I kept saying to myself, if don't they see what they're doing is going to do this? And no one could see.
So we
Yeah,
become
yep.
gentle, we become compassionate, we became kind with others and with ourselves, because I had to learn they're not there yet, I'm not there yet in their level. So it was like it's a mutual thing. And then when this big awakening happened, and I was already still working in these organizations, and now I am like again back to being the child, but the child with awareness. The
Wow.
awareness
Cool.
of all this.
Yes.
And then I'm there and I said, oh, how can I bring this to these people? So I asked the beings of light, what can I do or say to them to see this light? And the answer was amazing, Kathy. They say, do or say nothing. The light of your awareness is all they need.
Perfect.
So there will be times in life to talk, to do, but mainly be that. Be that light. If you're already being, you're doing from your being. You're
Right.
already manifesting. If you are that love, that kindness, that peace, that calmness, guess what? That's what you are
Right. That's
manifesting.
beautiful. Well, see, but I guess my experience is a little different than yours, where I get to co-create and help people bring in their stuff. So bring in books or projects or their business or their soul mission. And so I actually get some energy that can use to bring it in. And so if people go too slow, I'm like holding this
I
energy.
love that. Yes.
So I actually figured out a year ago or 2 years ago, someone said, well, why don't you just create cubbies? Why don't you create a storage locker for all of it? So that's what I ended up doing, so I could help more people, because that way it can go in, it can it can be dispensed in smaller increments. See, I hold this going, okay, let's do it. But
And
they're
you
not ready, maybe, or whatever.
and you
Who
know
knows?
that's beautiful, because that brings me to this other point. When we learn to value and appreciate our uniqueness.
Uh-huh.
I didn't understand for so long why this was happening to me. And I will go say, why me? Why this is happening to me? And when I didn't want it when I was younger, because I don't want to be different.
Right, right,
The years I understood that each one of us, oh wow, was created with these unique purposes, with these unique capacities, and I just put the example of the fingers and the hand. They're all different.
right.
What would you do if you cut this finger off? Alone, it cannot do anything. So is that uniqueness that
Beautiful.
encompasses oneness, and guess we are all attached to the same hand. So
That's
it is like,
beautiful.
oh God, the fact that we're different and that we have different experiences and that we have the way to perceive life in a different way makes us all so amazing, all part of the universal puzzle. And each piece is so important. Without that at peace, the puzzle cannot be completed.
Exactly. And that's what I really was hoping you could share. And thank you so much for that, because I'm feeling that people are getting frustrated at being locked down for the song. The novelty has worn off, and the future prospects of it aren't very pleasant. There, people are starting to get frustrated, and they have to. I want as much as possible to share your story and stories that really give you a chance to see how magnificent every single person that's here is, that you have a gift to give, and that there's, if you follow Ingrid and follow and learn from her, you can see that it's only just a step away. Really, it's just an awareness away for you to be the big you, the gift of you, right?
Yes, yes, and you know that I love what you're saying, Kathy, because I love to say to people what is actually in the way is the way.
Exactly.
Because if there was no obstacles, if there was no challenges, why would we do anything? I would just sit in my couch and never move and be comfortable. But sooner or later, a flood is going to happen. An earthquake is going to happen.
Right, right. You'll be pushed out of the way. Well, I mean, but
Yes.
how, when you were at NASA and you were doing all this work with, were you the only woman? Were most of the time, was there mostly men? And you, oops, I'm sorry, my cat is, go. She's crazy. Anyway, there we go.
It's good. It's good. There was times that, like, I was able to see more women, but when I was with the Colombian Navy, yeah, I was pretty much the few women there, and yeah, many of the jobs, it was just more being me as a girl, as an oceanographer. That's the other thing. I was born in a male dominated society,
Right.
and doing and accomplishing all this was incredible because it was a country at war. It was like, I remember looking at myself and thinking, what this girl can really, how can I, and yeah, I had the vision of working with NASA when I was 12 years old. Life showed me, don't limit your mind.
Right. That's another. That's a fabulous example too. But when you know that you're an angel in human form, and that everything is possible for you, you just have to dream it and then have courage to do it. Which is what your story is, just so amazing. It's so wonderful. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Kathy. This
Oh, I'm
incredible.
so
One
proud.
thing I would say to people before we go, as the beings of light said this to me. I was 12 years old when they showed me I will be working for NASA, and they actually showed me, Kathy, things that didn't even exist that time, which was being able to study the ocean from satellites. I was 12. That was so long ago, and it was like, oh my God, that happened so long later. So, but it's when they said to me, you don't have to tell your dreams to everybody, because many people will step in the way and make you think that is not possible. And it's when you limit your mind. Learn to keep things for yourself, or just go to talk to people that are not going to put that wall in front of you.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, and I learned that.
Really guided. You were really guided. Well, I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about your presentation at IONS. I'm going to show the URL right now. It's virtualconference.ions.org. And I am a volunteer and a member of IONS. And so there is, because we can't meet in person this year, there's going to be a virtual conference, and it's at this website. It's a Friday night, Saturday, and a Sunday. August. Let's make sure I say the right dates. Anyway, it's I think it's the 14th through the 16th. Yes, it is. The 14th is just Anita Morjani is speaking on the 14th. And then Ingrid is going to be, and I'm looking at the schedule as I talk to you, she's speaking about divine guidance from beings of light and the power of healing at 11 a.m. And I think this is Pacific time.
Yes, and that will be the 15, the Saturday 15.
Right, right. And I'm so excited because there's so many ways that you can benefit from knowing Ingrid and knowing about her story. She has a book. You can go to her website. Is there other things that you're going to share? I mean, you're fluent in Spanish and in English, and you're making it possible for Spanish speaking people to also enjoy the conference. Thank you so much for doing that.
Mhm.
That's such a gift.
Yeah.
But this virtual conference will allow people to not miss anything. In a regular conference, you have to pick between what room you're going to be in, and you can't see it all. But the virtual conference allows you to see it. Actually, once you pay for the initial ticket, you get to see it for 90 days afterwards.
Great.
But do you want to talk about anything about what your presentation? Give us a little teaser about your presentation.
I think yeah, I just want to bring to people that this connection, because people ask me many times how you summon the beings of light, how they summon you. And I said there's nothing like that. Everything is here for us, available always. And I put the example that we're just like a radio. And we have to learn to tune our radio, to tune the dial in that frequency where, like, if you think about it right now, every wave of TV, internet, radio, everything is here. And once we learn to tune, then now we can connect. I want to share with them the incredible ways I'm working now. I'm working in just bringing to people meditations and ways to calm the mind. I'm working with an incredible friend to develop an application to just learn, to bring to people to calm the mind, how we calm the mind. So I'm bringing all these to the conference, a little bit about, yeah, the experiences and how I practice walking meditation. And this brings me to a state of awareness, and how day to day in our life we can use the daily tools, washing the dishes, to be in that state of awareness, to be in that state of connection. So I want to show people how they can always be connected once they make that decision, because it's a choice. Nobody can force us to this. Like I said, once I wanted to disconnect, the universe is not going to say no. I turn off my dial, and that's your choice.
Right, right. But this is the perfect time to learn from Ingrid, because we have this shutdown period where you're not commuting to work, you have more quiet time, more personal time by yourself, and this is the perfect time to read her book, to learn from her, and see and reconnect to who you really are and all the gifts that are waiting for you. Thank you so much, Ingrid.
Oh, thank you.
Such a pleasure. Such a blessing you are.
This is just all, being here with you is incredible. I want also give to people a little bit of that peace in the heart. I lost my mom 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 4 weeks ago. And it's been a process of realizing that, yeah, there's a lot of pain, but more than any time in my life, to connect with the light even more deeply. Because where else are we going to find that peace, that going back to that place where we can make sense of all of this? The beings of light said, yeah, embrace that hole in your chest, but fill it with light.
Beautiful. Oh. And that's what people are, there's a lot of grief of loss right now, loss of the life you thought you had, loss of change. And
Yes.
so the inner strength that you represent and that you guide us with, and I know that you, after being around Ions and your experiences, you know your mom's fine. And and that's the other thing, you guys. If you come to this conference, you will hear so many different ways that people have had superpowers really ignited from these experiences, and it's all available to us. We just have to maybe hear it. We don't have to have a near-death experience to have those experiences. We can have those spiritually transformative experiences right now. So thank you, Ingrid. I'll see you soon on
Yes, Kathy.
online. Thank you so much. You're such a blessing. Thank you.
Oh, what a blessing, what an honor to be here. And thank you, Kathy, for the incredible job that you do. All of us. It's the work of all of us.
That's right.
And
That's
we
right.
just enhance and enhance until that shift will happen, and all of us, the being so like said to me, someday all of us, everybody will be able to see us. So
That's
that,
perfect. I think, oh, I just got chills. I think it's happening right now. I think the veil is so thin between the different dimensions that it's possible to see lots of us. Lots
yes,
of, there's a whole bunch of us that are able to bring more in right now. So anyway, well, we got to go, but thank you.
yes.
I'll talk again soon. Thank you, Ingrid.
Thank you, Kathy. This is
Bye-bye.
a
Bye-bye.
blessing. Thanks all. Love you.